All right, y'all. I'm gonna need you to get your scuba gear. I'm gonna need you to get the flipper things. I'm gonna need you to get your oxygen tanks. I'm gonna need you to get some lotion because you know how sometimes when you're in the water, your fingers start pruning up. Because we are talking about the long-awaited Avatar: The Way of Water. Let's get into it. As you can see, I love water things, so it's gonna be a real interesting one for me. Yes, y'all. This movie has been 13 years in the making. We have been waiting to see the next big banger. And I'm going to just start off. This movie really visually and kinesthetically was beautiful. Just like the graphics, the 3D, the sound effects, the music, everything on the entertainment level was amazing. As far as the writing goes, it wasn't bad. It just we're gonna get into it later, but it definitely gets a little complicated. But we'll talk about that later. So we return to Pandora, and it's back with I think his name is John from the first movie. And I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. The first thing that bothered me was seeing this man's hair. This is a white man who has been transported to an avatar body. I can't remember if it's their DNA, but it bothered me so much because his hair texture does not match his avatar's hair texture. It was so distracting to me because it felt like this movie because it took 13 years in the making, right? It felt like this movie was made before Me Too. Like some things that they probably would have been called out on or canceled for. There was a little bit of stuff of that caliber in there. And it was so distracting to me. And those things I'm talking about are, the hair texture and the white boy running around with dreads. That was also really strange because it's like just because he's in the wild doesn't mean he has dreads. And then it's like, are you dreading his hair because the Navi do that? It was a whole, that aspect of it, the whole cultural appropriation. And I get that is part of the movie too. Like a bunch of people from Earth are coming in and trying to take over Pandora's resources. So I get that was part of it, but it was so distracting looking at this man John and the little white boy in dreads. Because I'm like, if he's a boy who, plays in the wild and stuff, why can't his hair just naturally be what it white people's hair doesn't naturally dread up. So that was distracting from me just straight off the jump. It was distracting. Another thing that was so I'm not going to say it was bad writing because I don't think that's true, but it did get really confusing. And y'all, I was thinking about it. It was getting confusing because there are so many blue characters. Not only are there so many blue characters, the entire planet is blue. Not only is the entire planet blue, but now we're focusing on the ocean, the water. I don't know what Pandora calls their bodies of water, but it's the water, so it's even more blue. Cut. And on top of that, there are so many characters. Like there was a moment where I saw that they had 4 children and I was just like, this is too much. It felt as though there was 10 different main characters. That's how I felt. There's a scene where they enter the scientist lab and Carrie, the adopted daughter's mom, Grace from the old movie, is floating in a tank, her avatar. And there's this question that comes up of, was she assaulted as an avatar? Because where does this baby come from? Cut. That was this big lingering question throughout the movie, like, where did this random baby come from? It is revealed that Captain Quattridge, is that his name? Captain, he's alive again. And there's this big reveal where he's in an avatar body. And it's like, dude, we don't remember what happened from the last movie. Cut. So the movie was doing this thing where it's like making him an empathetic character. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, like it was working. Like we got to see his side of things and how he was feeling and just thinking about the movement of the people from planet Earth and how Jake Sully is just this bane of his existence. So we were getting to see his side. So in the movie, he keeps kidnapping the kids. And it's so funny because it happens a bunch of times where the kids get kidnapped. And instead of like killing the kids like a normal villain would do, he like locks them up and like change them to something for like research or. And there were so many times where the kids were about to die, but it was like we can clearly tell they're about to get saved by something. So Spider gets kidnapped after Neytiri and Jake, his name is not John, his name is Jake. After Jake and Neytiri save the kids, Spider gets kidnapped. One thing about Spider that just was so uncomfortable to me in the movie was that he tags along for the ride with his dad, and the whole time I'm thinking, Spider, you're not a good friend, because every time his dad wanted him to do something, he would do it. And yeah, there would be these moments of hesitation, but it's like, dude, you're helping the bad guy. And it's not like he was being like forced against his will, like, oh, I'm going to kill you, or I mean, I guess because they were torturing him in the beginning, but I don't know. It just felt a little too easy for me. Maybe Spider had some held up resentment, and maybe that's part of the movie too. So the Sully family has to move from their home in the forest because they don't want to draw attention. And I just felt so bad for Neytiri because she was going through it this entire movie. I just felt like she was crying and just grieving the entire movie. Like, it's like she could not catch a break. She was moving, and I just felt so bad for Neytiri. They go and find shelter with the Metekaina. Is that the reef Na'vi, the water Na'vi? And at first they are like an outcast and nobody wants them because they have demon blood. And the chief is like, yeah, he's a soldier. He helped fight the people. And the chief queen, is that what they're called? The queen chief, she's not feeling it. She's like, nah, these are outsiders. They got demon blood. Why would we want them over here? And eventually they settle on the compromise to keep them with the people. I really thought the chief queen lady was going to be a villain, like the villain. And I really ended up loving her and her arc and her character. So the Sully family seems to hate the new reef situation at first. And I'm looking at the village, I'm looking at the water, and I'm like, this is paradise. And I see why people love these Avatar movies. Because say whatever you want to say about the plot, say whatever you want to say about the writing, the movie always looks good. It always makes you want to leave planet Earth and live on Pandora. So the family is getting adjusted, and they get adjusted pretty quickly. Like, they went from, crying and weeping to instantly falling in love. It seemed like, I guess it happened over a month, but it seemed like they fell in love within a day. The princess is feeling Loak, Jake's second son, and the prince is a bully and starts bullying the Sully kids. So there would be these times where they're calling Kiri a freak. No, watching the princess and the reef Na'vi teach them about the water and the creatures in the water was some of the most beautiful CGI I have ever seen in my life. Hands down. They really make you feel like you could live in this water. You could be at peace under the sea. And I was really feeling that. The prince, chief son guy, is bullying the kids. And there's a moment where he's bullying Kiri and calling her a freak and like making fun of her 6 fingers again. And the brothers start fighting them. And this happened a bunch of times. It felt like it happened like 10 times where it would be like the kids would get into a fight or do something stupid. And then Jake or the chief would be like, you dishonor us. You need to go apologize right now before they kick us out. And it felt like it happened like 10 times in the movie. And I'm like, these kids aren't learning anything. They keep getting into these crazy situations and being like, but Dad, I don't want to apologize. Like, it felt like it happened like 10 times. So after one of the very numerous apologies, the prince and his cohort take Loak out to the reef. And they leave him there with this giant shark creature. Cut. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, that I knew he wasn't gonna die, but there was something so exhilarating of like watching him get chased by the shark and also running out of breath. It was terrifying, especially with the CGI goggles. Like, I felt like I was really being chased by a shark. Like, creature slams the shark, and I'm like, yay, he got away. And then I see that the whale is coming towards him, and I think it's a wrap for him. I think, I appreciated how when he was being attacked by the shark, he just pulled out a knife. He was like, if I'm going down with a fight. But the whale ends up befriending Loak. Loak helps to take out one of the traps that was set for him. And Loak really seems to bond with this whale, who turns out to be exiled from the reef people. There's another beautiful water scene with the whale. And I'm looking at the whale, seeing them going underwater. It's like nighttime too. There's like glowing creatures. And I'm looking at this movie and I'm like, that's why y'all took 13 years to make this movie, because this is beautiful. He goes back to the village and they're like, dude, what you doing with that whale? Like, even we know he's exiled. Don't mess with him. He's evil. Stay away. He was exiled for a reason. He's like, yo, he's the nicest creature I've ever met. What are y'all talking about? And so there's that conflict going on there. Commander Quaritch, I don't know his title, but he's hunting down one of the whales that, had bonded with the reef people, and he kills her. And her baby ends up dying in the process. But it's such a graphic scene, and it felt so unnecessary just watching her die. But I guess that was part of what the storytellers were trying to tell. Because we see that the whale is murdered brutally and tortured, and they inject something into, I guess, what is her brain, and they reveal this yellow serum that is anti-aging, and they waste the entire whale. Like, some people, who have to survive in the wild will use the entire animal. Like, if you have to kill an animal, to eat, eat. But they kill the whale and take this little thing, this little resource from it, and waste the entire whale. So after the commander leads Spider to some reef people or reef Na'vi to, question them about where Jake Sully is, Spider starts to see how evil his father really is. He's torturing them and burning their houses down. And I really thought he was going to kill them, like, in front of Spider. But I'm glad that Spider, took a step back and said, I don't want to do this anymore. Even though a part of me was still like, but Spider, you already went this far. So, I feel like you could have stopped this a long time ago. So there's some conflict there. The chief is like, look, y'all brought these people upon us. Maybe it would be best if y'all go. They're suffering because I told them to hide y'all. Y'all have been causing a lot of problems. maybe it's best if y'all go. So they're upset, but they want to go to war with the Earth people because of the whole whale situation. You're not going to be killing our whales. Those are our brothers, right? So the mother, she's pregnant, and he's like, baby, maybe it would be best if you stay home. And she's like, what you mean? I'm going to war. We ride at dawn. So the kids end up getting captured again. Don't ask me how, but then it all comes to this full front. The commander is like staring at them. Jake, I have your kids. If you want me to let them go, I want you. That's all I want. I don't want to kill anybody. I just want you. We can end this all right here. Jake is looking back at everybody like, you know what? That sounds like a good plan. My life for everybody else's. Let's just get this over with. Well, Jake's oldest son ends up getting killed trying to save the other children. And I'm not going to lie, y'all, it really felt like his character was created just to do that. Like, I didn't get to really bond with the older brother. It felt like, why did they have 4 kids plus this adopted kid? It really felt like they were setting us up to have one of the kids killed. Jake starts fighting the commander. The whale who bonded with Loak comes and destroys the ship. Now people are fighting and getting caught underwater. Neytiri and Took end up getting caught, so they have to keep swimming. And I'm not gonna lie, it was cool. It was so cool watching them climb up and the water coming. It's probably it was terrifying for them, but it looked cool to us. Jake and the commander hate each other so much they're fighting underwater, and it's a part of me is like, this is not you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't. But he had just killed his son, of course. That hate is real, so it was getting intense. Jake ends up winning and drowns the commander. Here comes Spider with his, oxygen mask, and he's floating around trying to find Jake, and he ends up finding the commander. And I felt so mad at Spider when he picked him up. I thought it was over, but it's like, I guess we did end up empathizing with him a little bit, his father. But I just was so mad at Spider in the moment. I'm like, this boy ruins everything. Tiri and Took are stuck, and Curie has the glowing jellyfish come and help save them, which I don't think that was really touched upon a lot. So it's like Curie just has these magic powers just cuz. I wish we had gone into depth a little bit more with that. Let me know what y'all think about it. Loak is using what he learned at the village of breathing, using the water to your advantage. The water is a brother to you, just their spiritual practices. And it seems to be working. The family makes it all out alive, but they did have some major losses. There is a grieving scene, and it is so beautiful listening to Zoe Saldana sing and mourn their children. They give him a proper send-off, and they go to their tree, their spirit tree, and they get to see him one final time. And they see him as a child catching fish. And I know the mothers and fathers who were watching that were heartbroken just to think about losing a child. It was gut-wrenching. Yeah, y'all, I had some problems with the movie, but overall, it was an entertaining movie. It was entertaining. The music, the visuals. I didn't really come to Avatar to get this really deep, complicated story. I came to watch an entertaining movie, and I got that and some. I was thoroughly impressed. I love the water. I love seeing all of the different creatures. 13 years to make this movie, it's a little unnecessary, but it was worth it for me. All right, y'all. That's my review of Avatar: Way of Water. Please let me know what y'all thought about the movie. I'm really interested to know. What did you think of the creatures, the underwater creatures? Do you think that this story was too complicated? Do you think they could have simplified things? Do you think that they needed to be working on this movie for 13 years? Did it live up to the hype? Please let me know what you think. All right, that's it from me. Jalen out.